We're going to start it here with a lot of gaming news this week, slowly accumulated, especially PlayStation canceling games as two live service PlayStation games got canceled. And one of them is a God of War game. And the two studios that did it are Ben Studio and Blue Point. So Blue Point this whole time has been working on a live service God of War game. And Ben Studios who did Days Gone. So they basically put these two single player companies, right, developers on live service multiplayer games. That it was, terrible idea, right? And especially after Concord, they were like, throw all of that out, right? Like get rid of all of it. So they have like someone had the list of the past year live service games that were canceled. So like Concord was canceled and then erased from all of time. They had this unannounced God of War game by Blue Point got canceled. The Last of Us multiplayer for Last of Us 2 was supposed to be what was going to keep Last of Us 2 kind of around. And then they were just we don't want to we don't want to do a multiplayer, even though like that people loved it in Last of Us 1, right? So they just gutted that. And then Spider-Man 2 multiplayer was a surprise. I remember seeing like leaked footage of that, and that was like going to be like Spider-Verse stuff where you would have like Spider-Man, Miles, Spider-Gwen, and I think Silk, and you'd be able to play as like 4-player co-op around New York and stuff. And it probably could have been fun, but like I'm just, as ironic it is to say because of how the time I'm putting in Marvel Rivals, it's like I don't want to commit to the live service stuff, like like more than one, and then a free live service is miles better than a paid one.
Yeah.
Rich says we need Days Gone too, right? Like, why was that company not working on something like that, right? And The Last of Us 2 multiplayer cancellation hurt. Like, people were excited for that, and they said they were going to do it, and then they're like, yeah, we're not going to do it.
And I wonder why they didn't do it though. I thought that was the greatest game in the world, right? Isn't that what they said?
Especially like the gameplay, like people like that. A lot of people who played the Grounded or whatever the factions or whatever for Last of Us 1, said fun. Yeah, it's fun. It's the gameplay, and you can kind of have fun with all that. And then they were excited with all the improvements to the gameplay in Last of Us 2. That was like, oh, we're gonna get it to be its own thing. Just the combat, you don't have to even fuck with the story, right? And then they're like, we're gonna branch it off to its own thing, and so you don't have to even get Last of Us 2, I don't think. And then it's just like, yeah, we're not doing it at all, Ben Studios multiplayer, which we didn't even find out what that was going to be. There's going to be a Twisted Metal live service. The London Studios co-op game. The whole game. The studio was closed. Deviation Games and Payback. So a Destiny spin-off from Bungie. So yeah, it is just like Ghost of Tsushima had their live service thing, and that made a bunch of money, but it's just I get it.
Ghost of Tsushima had live service?
Well, it wasn't. Yeah, it had like Ghost of Tsushima had its like.
It did have that multiplayer mode thing. Yeah, I downloaded it. Yeah. I just never played it. Yeah.
Yeah, it was free basically if you had the game, and
yeah.
And then they had like the crossovers with the other PlayStation games. You got those special armors, and they added those armors into the DLC. But yeah, like it had that, and people played that, and then it never asked too much of you. Like I don't think it ever was like predatory or anything like that. It was just like, it was just there. But yeah, so I don't know what this Blue Point God of War thing was gonna be.
You're gonna be different gods and
yeah, like exactly like what I mean, if you were like foot soldiers, maybe like if it was like the Batman Arkham Origins multiplayer where it's like you're just the goons, and then if you if your team reaches a certain point, you can go. One player can go to a spot. You'd become like the boss. You could play as like Bane or Joker. So like if it was like the worshippers of Odin versus like Freya, like if it's like the Asgard Vanaheim war, right? If you were gonna do that, maybe. But then it's like, I don't know, like you don't like because then you would do it like it's already there, right? You would call it War of Gods.
Yeah, you're right.
It's over. It's done. It's right there.
Yeah.
It's right there. It's done. There you go, Sony. You ruined it. There's your in. But not with Blue Point though. Blue Point should be making like remakes and like remasters or whatever of maybe give them something original, but more if it was going to be like a Bloodborne 2. If you're like, well, like From's not going to do it, we'll have Blue Point do it or whatever, right? Like we'll do a half and half thing. From gives them the Bible, and then Blue Point does the gameplay. I don't know, but have those Days Gone people make a Days Gone thing, and have Blue Point make a Bloodborne thing, and then all will be forgiven. But it more seems as well that PlayStation has learned from Concord that the live service thing doesn't work.
Duh.
Like, and luckily they're finding that out, and I think I have the there was one quote that I saw from the guy that left PlayStation, Shuei Yoshida, had mentioned that like it was something about like just like the live service games, and that they think they can get the money, or like what everyone always says with the live service games is everyone wants their Fortnite, and I was just not getting it, so.
I mean, but there's like one Fortnite a generation pretty much of consoles.
Basically,
right?
There's one like a Fortnite or an Overwatch, basically.
A Fortnite, Overwatch wasn't it didn't live that long, to be honest. It was more of a flash in the pan. It was one game, right?
It was the
I
one
know the
game,
second one came out, but it
it was one game, and then they shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, so it was one game. Every generation of consoles has their Halo, their Fortnite, their whatever.
GTA Online.
Yeah, GTA Online stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it, man. Like those are
you can't
they're
push
lightning in a bottle, I guess you would say. And all of these are with every one of these multiplayer things, like you don't need to do a God of War multiplayer, Spider-Man 2 multiplayer, unless it was like a multiverse thing, but that would get boring after a while.
Yeah,
that's basically what it was going to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it seems like Sony's learned this, but I think other gaming companies need to learn this, is that these things are not the safe bet that they think that they are, because I don't know, like I guess it's lightning in the bottle, because I don't really know what makes like Fortnite and some of the other ones that have caught on, like what it is specifically.
Fortnite appealed to kids. Minecraft appealed to kids.
That's
all of these
true.
are
and
trying to appeal.
Fortnite was also free as well.
And
Fortnite was free. Yeah, Minecraft was inexpensive, if anything.
And I think people need to understand too. Like, I mean, look at God of War, for example. God of War, excuse me. God of War is a story-driven, character-driven, single-player experience. It doesn't lend itself to something like the formula of Fortnite. Same thing with Spider-Man. I mean,
so
not everything needs to be converted into these live for service games.
Yeah, this was the leaked trailer that during the Insomniac leaks, this was on there as well.
City. In the whole world I wouldn't do for this big, beautiful apple. One moment you're scarfing down a slice from Vinny's. The next, you're stopping a supervillain prison break. Sometimes you can swing it as a lone wolf, but you're way better off with some friends. I've seen the Sinister Six before. Never so methodical, so savage. I don't think I'm gonna be enough this time, guys. But together, just might be. You in?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, that
and-
looked boring.
Yeah, like it's just I like the idea of like Gwen and all that. It's just that should have been
Give me
single
the
player
Power Wash
DLC.
simulator over that shit. If I'm being
Right.
I don't know if you're allowed to power wash simulator samurai.
Why's that?
There's just
Uh,
rules to it.
Operating under the influence.
The fuck? Are
Yeah,
you on
that's
about?
true. Yeah, you blow your foot off.
Too late, dude.
The
Did
fuck
that
you own
back in
about?
92.
It's been illegal to
Anyways.
operate those since '87.
There's
You
a
read a
lot of
report on
things,
it.
Illegal things that I still do.
You do a report on it. That's right.
Yeah, and then I'll read it to the class.
So Grubby asks, is that a multiplayer option for the PS4 game? So that was basically, it was going to be a separate game they were developing alongside Spider-Man 2, and because PlayStation wanted this live service thing, it was using all like the assets from Spider-Man 1, because all the Spider people are going to play the same animation rig, all that stuff, right? Maybe some slight changes for Gwen and Silk, and if they added like Noir and Spider-Punk or whoever else, and maybe some slight tweaks, but otherwise like they were going to play the same. And yeah, so that was something that they were working on, and that should have been like story DLC. I've been wanting a Spider-Gwen DLC for the Spider-Man games since the first one, right? Where you're just like, yeah, like I like when a DLC is a completely separate thing. Continuation of the story is good, but sometimes it's just like, yeah, it's like it's own thing, and you're in this completely different world, and Spider-Gwen's world's already out there that you could have a lot of fun with it. Give me a Punisher mod in GTA 4 world, and I'll be happy for years. I said it about the Avengers game, where the way Thor played in Avengers, I said, just give me that in the God of War universe, right? In a God of War like game, and it's there you go. Like it's all I need. But yeah, so the that was the news for that. And then like I was talking about the Shuei Yoshida had also just talked about some PlayStation stuff, and he had mentioned that fans should support remasters if they want first-party PS5 games. Single-player games now cost so much, so they need additional income by doing remasters and porting to PC to be able to do that. And
I'll support what I damn well want.
Yeah, you're not the boss of me, Sony.
Yeah, fuck
well,
off.
he doesn't work at Sony anymore. He used to. He's now actually like he's worked strictly on like indie games to like elevate all that.
And I prefer a remake instead of a remaster, personally. Do the work.
Or a sequel.
Remasters are good if I've never played the game, obviously, to be like, yeah, like this was as long as everything reviews right.
Yeah, remasters are good for games who were great, that were like what you're saying, but were great games, but maybe the controls sucked, right? Like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
They remastered the original Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't remake it, they remastered it. And they took away the tank controls, remember?
Yeah.
And now you have two masterpieces you can enjoy separately.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Jim tells you is here. What's this shit? He says.
What's up,
just said
bitch ass
sheet.
cracker?
He didn't put the I in it.
Just shit.
Yeah, it would be just shit, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
Like that was like 5 E's though. Wouldn't that be
Rocky?
Oh,
Rocky says the shitty controls made it scary.
it did. But if you played the remaster,
It's a classic, dude.
it's still pretty scary.
Like
Like,
Clock
it's
Tower.
Because the graphics make it way crazy, dude.
Yeah.
I also saw a thing about Resident Evil 6's ESRB got updated at Xbox or something like that.
Really?
So it's like, I don't know if that is like remaster stuff or if that's the next remake. I don't think they do that.
You know what else is pretty?
It's more of a they're not going to remake that before they remake 5.
Exactly. That's why I was like, that's weird.
You know what else is pretty scary? The mute
tell us.
button. The mute button on StreamYard.
Yeah. It's a sketchy place to be.